Welcome, everybody, to episode 3 of the Paper and Plastic Show. We are in the Ocean Ridge Studios, and today we're going to talk about, you guessed it, paper and plastic. The goal of this podcast, the goal of this show is to give and light on the paper and plastic industry, to make the industry cool, to talk about things that typically aren't talked about. We're not getting enough love when it comes in the media, and this podcast's goal and Ocean Ridge's goal is to shed light on our industry. We're an essential business, we're an essential industry, and we got to make more people know about that. So we've been posting content on every single platform, and it's been really good feedback so far, and we want to keep it going. But today, I want to talk about something super, super important, is that the EU is making a really big change when it comes to exporting material overseas. So the EU is very progressive on recycling. So for example, you have the United States and you have California, which is a very, very progressive state when it comes to recycling, and they have their recycling programs and they're very huge in sustainability. The European Union, or the EU, is pretty much that, but for the whole continent almost, right? I've been a very big fan of the EU because they're always really progressive when it comes to these policies and these rules, and they really make recycling a priority. But recently, they made a new law that the EU wants to make sure that if you're sending or exporting any recycled material from the European Union, they have to ensure that that place where it's going, they have a good recycling system in place. Otherwise, you're not allowed to recycle to that country. This is where the problem comes in. Define a good recycling system. And while I do understand why the European Union wants to make this, because you don't want to make other countries like a dumping ground. You don't want to create a culture where you just take trash out of your country, dump it somewhere else, and next thing you know, they're burning it, right? Or they're just throwing it in a big landfill and getting rid of it because the labor is cheaper over there, right? So I understand their point. But look, when you're exporting material overseas in these containers right here, you have to understand that not every country is at the same spot that the European Union is, because we're always thinking from the lens of our perspective. Everybody wants to buy material once and dispose of it. Everybody wants to drink a bottle once and throw it in the recycle bin. Everybody wants to use a piece of paper once, throw it in the landfill. A lot of these countries overseas, especially third world countries, they don't have the resources to buy and use one-time use plastics or one-time use materials because they just can't afford to have one-time use of anything. So in many cases, they will reuse the same material 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. So while the EU, I understand they want to make sure that other countries don't become the dumping ground, at the same point, maybe they need to be understanding of the fact that maybe they're not going to recycle it and they don't have a good recycling system, but they have a fantastic reuse system, right? And it's very hard to gauge what is a good reuse system. In my last episode, we talked about how they use seatbelts to make beds overseas. There's so many use cases where one man's trash is another man's treasure, and that happens all the time. I do think the European Union has its heart in a good place, that they want to make sure that material is properly disposed of. But at the same time, I think it's a bit of an aggressive law that might hurt exporting and potentially stop the reuse of material by stopping those pathways of happening and forcing people to dump material back in the EU. Okay, so let's go to our React segment. Today we're going to talk about this really cool video that I saw on TikTok from World Insides, and it's pretty much how you recycle old plastic shoes. So let's get into it. Let's check out this video. So this is some bags of plastic shoes, slippers, and they're, well, what is that? What is that? Is that like a shredder? Tossing them in. Man, there's so many slippers around my house. Oh! And becomes into this little shredded. Where did the yellow come from? Where are those dyes? Oh. You mix it with is that like ink? You put it over the rubber and how you melt it down? Don't know if they're gonna melt it down. Oh, they're melting it. Yeah, they're melting it. Becomes like blue asphalt thing. Shredded. Looks brand new. Boom. Boom. Melted down into brand new shoes all over again. Wow. Look at that. I've never seen that. That's cool. Man, this is how we got to be thinking about. Like, now, would the EU think this is a good recycling program? Probably not. And they're beautiful shoes. Very well done. Very well done. And the yellow is doing all handcrafted. Beautiful shoe. this is the part that I really want to get clear that look, we live our life a certain way, but our life is not the life of everybody in the entire world. Like United States, like 350 million, Canada, like 30 million, Mexico, I'm not sure exactly Mexico's population. What's the population in Mexico? Anybody know? Anybody know? Hold up. Let's see if Siri can help us. What is the population of Mexico? 131 million. So all in, you're looking at what, like 400, 500 million people? There's 8 billion humans on the earth, right? So how could it be that the perspective of like 500 million is the perspective of everybody? What's the population of the EU? Let's check that. Population of EU. That's 448 million people. So altogether, the entire Western world is about 1 billion people. How could 1 billion people describe exactly how the other 7 billion are living? We have a certain perspective, but that doesn't mean it's the right perspective or it's the only perspective. And I think that's the most important thing. So what this video showed me in particular is that we have a certain view of what is recycling. How should things be disposed of? How should things be reused? But it's not always the best approach because we don't have that craftsmanship in Canada. There are so many unique ways to reuse material overseas that haven't even been explored in North America or in Europe. And I think that's a really cool video that ties really well into that previous point. There's other ways to dispose of material that we have to think about and explore about. The paper and plastic industry, that's what we do, right? And I think even for us as industry professionals, we have to also be cognizant that, hey, there's more to the world than just us. There's more to the world than just North America. There's more to the world than just Europe. And maybe these creative solutions we haven't thought about should be explored. Huge opportunities in Africa, huge opportunities in Asia, huge opportunities in Southern America that many professionals don't even talk about, don't even think about, and extremely important that we discuss and we try to conserve our landfill space, save water, conserve energy, and manage our resources better. And that's how we're going to all win and not just send that pressure to the next generation to figure it out while we sort of sail off into the sunset. Episode 3. That's a wrap, I think. That was pretty good. You know, quick and short. We want to make these shorter. They're more easy to absorb, easier to get. This topic, I understand, is not always the coolest topic sometimes, but we're going to make it cool. But I understand that right now is not always cool. Talk about sustainability, talk about the paper industry, talk about the plastic industry. But the goal is we're going to make it cool, and we're going to see you guys back in episode 4. See ya.